Breathe in, breathe out. Visa's advanced AI looks at over 500 data points on transactions, so you can shop without thinking about fraud. Visa. Security looks good on you.
We have a lot going for us in Fall River, Massachusetts. Great bird watching and an Amazon warehouse with healthcare on day one and free technical training programs. Good for employees, good for Fall River. Amazon, every day better.
Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Back to the Frame Rate, where we watch and discuss films on VOD and streaming platforms for your entertainment. I am your host, Nathan Shore, and with me is Ellie Escobar, Sam Cole, and Brianna Butterworth. Welcome back, everybody.
Hi.
That's your cue for everyone to say hi.
Hello. I almost said good morning, so that's where I'm at.
That's great. You told me before you've been up since very early this morning.
I have been.
No one's been up as early as me because nobody else has the little kid that wakes them up and pokes them in the eyeballs at 6 a.m. saying, "Where's my breakfast?"
Yeah.
Little insight into my life.
For me.
Yeah. Anyways, well, excited to be back here again. We are continuing our Steven Spielberg retrospective this week. We are on to our fourth movie. And we're going to be watching the 1971 movie Duel, which was his first film. It was, Sam, am I correct here? It was originally a TV, CBS, was it? TV movie?
It was originally made for television, then it got a theatrical release, right, B? That was in because it did so well that they elevated it, which was cool, I thought.
Yeah, it was ABC, but Spielberg was under contract already with Universal. So they roped it in.
And it was so popular that they wanted to put it in theaters that they actually added footage so that it would be at least a 90-minute movie. Because I think back then, a movie, to be considered long enough for a theatrical release, had to be 90 minutes long. So they had to add footage in.
The producers too demanded that he go back and actually blow up the truck. They wanted an explosion at the end. They were like, "It's so good, but it falls and it dies so slowly. We need an explosion." And he stood up to them and was like, "No, I want the truck to die an agonizingly slow death." And that was he literally said that. So, but that was cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, let me just play quickly this amazing trailer for this movie, which. There's not a lot of dialogue in this. It's just a lot of noise and screeching and
super cool
noise.
Car sounds.
Yes, it's pretty cool.
Welcome.
Yeah, that's a little clip from the trailer for Duel. It goes on for about another 40 seconds of a lot of tractor trailer honking. And
Dennis Weaver has a lot of funny lines in this movie. He's like, "I don't believe it. I don't believe it."
Yeah. Well, first thing I want to do is just get everyone's very brief initial thoughts on this film, and then we'll kind of get into an open conversation on this. All right. Sam, why don't you just start us off with just a couple of brief thoughts on this?
I will say briefly that I love this movie. It probably is in my top 25, maybe 30 favorite films. I just think it's an amazing exercise in suspense and tension. And overall, I'm impressed with Spielberg builds suspense and tension so well without overdoing it and without making it melodramatic. And that's kind of a theme in a lot of his earlier movies. So I love the film, and I can go into more detail in a little bit, but I just hands down blown away by it. Saw it first when I was 15. It has never lost its touch since then for me.
Yeah. You or Ellie, who would like to share their thoughts next?
Go
Ellie,
for it, Ellie.
Ellie, why don't you tell me? I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Well, I surprise, it wasn't anything like always. So I actually enjoyed the film. It's entertaining. I enjoyed every single part of the film, especially the fact that there's no dialogue in the film and just the action is pretty cool. I love the colors of back in the 70s because like even the cars were like shiny orange or like purple or whatever, blue, and then the clothes and not like today. Everything's so gray and gloomy. Like cars are either
That's really
white,
true. Yeah.
black, or gray.
Yeah.
Those are and that's probably why there's so
I
many
missed
accidents
that.
now.
That's why I got a red car for right now.
And that's probably why there's so many accidents because cars are like black, gray, white, and you don't see them. But if they were bright orange, you're like, oh, there's a car taking the lane. Okay,
Yep.
anyway. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty suspenseful for me. I was like, oh my God, oh no, oh my God, what, no. That was me watching the movie.
Great. B.
Yeah, same. I was gripped the whole time, and I had the same thought, Ellie, about the colors. Because to me, his little Valiant looked like it was like a bullfighter, like that reddish orange. Was all I could think about was like
Great
bullfight.
analogy. I actually made that note as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice, great minds. Yeah, no, that's all I could think about. I was so gripped the whole time. This movie's badass, a badass movie. Out the gate.
I would say really quick. I just liked it's focused throughout. Like its premise, it delivered on it, and it maintained the premise and the focus of the story for 95 minutes. There's so many other movies that start off with good concepts, then they jump the shark, or the plot gets convoluted, or it like goes off course. Duel is just like straight arrow right down the middle, like gives you what you want, plant and payoff, build up. It's just like structurally brilliant.
And he added time. Like it could have gone off the rails with that extra stuff. He added time, and it was still streamlined.
Yep.
And had I not watched The Fablemans, I wouldn't know that Steven likes trains. And watching this film and seeing the train, I'm like, oh, yep, there's that train fan with Steven. So,
I also agree. I had a blast watching this, and I have seen this before. It's probably been maybe 16, 17 years since I watched this. I don't know if I liked it much back then. I probably didn't have much of appreciation for this, but seeing this now, I adored this film. I just love the primal nature of this movie, which I was surprised how simple the story is. I think I love the fact that this is really an indictment on the emasculation of men of the 70s. And which I thought was just a very forward thinking idea for a film back then. I mean, we have you think of like the movie stars of the day in the early 70s, and Charlton Heston, Rock Hudson, and now you have this character who is in this marriage. At the time, women were going into the workforce, and men were not the only bread earners anymore at this time. And I think this is definitely making a strong commentary on what that means to the American male at the time. And now you have this guy who is not the typical movie star, obviously. I mean, what is the actor's name again? Dennis Weaver?
Dennis Weaver, yeah.
Dennis Weaver, who was in other TV movies, and was it Gunsmoke, or what was the TV show he was?
Gunsmoke, yeah.
Gunsmoke, yeah. So he was not like the typical like leading man, I think, for a movie like this, but he was perfect for this because he kind of like is ushering in a new kind of actor for the 70s, like the Al Pacino, the Dustin Hoffman, Alan Alda type of effeminate kind of male actor that would be kind of take over the 70s.
I also
going
find him
forward.
like relatable because he's like a
Mhm.
quote unquote more of a regular Joe. You know what I
His
mean?
name is
So
Man. His name
yeah,
is Man.
his name is Man, and like some of his moments on the
Yeah.
highway crack me up because it like he
Yeah.
reminded me of myself at times. I
Hmm.
like relate to his. He's like, okay, we're gonna do this now, and I'm like, oh man, I've been there.
Yeah.
I was
And
Well,
like,
I was
and
like, why don't you just get off the car and go up to the trucker and punch him? That's what
See,
you
but
need to
and
do.
he tried to walk up to it, but it
tried.
drove off. What I love about the movie is like I wish I could come up with a better word, but it like perfectly milks the concept of like the predator and prey. It milks it so well. I feel like he did everything he could with that, and it ends perfectly, the perfect amount of time. There's so many other movies where I'm like, oh, I wish the chase had been longer, or I wish this had been different. This just like each scene,
It's road jaws.
it's he also Spielberg literally when he took on Jaws the project he thought of Jaws as like a spiritual sequel to Duel,
mm,
which I kind of get. I'm just amazed that how little dialogue and how sustaining and how the film keeps your attention the whole running time, and
speaking
it
of
could have
dialogue,
easily been boring. I'm just amazed by it.
I
Yeah.
love the fact that there's very little dialogue in this, but my biggest complaint is the use of inner monologue in this movie, which I
Yes.
thought was totally to the movie's detriment. And I know that I think that Spielberg has said that in hindsight he would not have done this or regrets it. And he would, if this movie was done again, he would not do as nearly as much of this or not at all. It was not needed. I think Dennis Weaver did a fantastic job emoting everything he needed to do in this movie without the inner monologue, which was pretty bad dialogue for the most part.
It seemed like it was like a technique of the time where maybe
Yeah.
it was like more acceptable or normal back then, but now it just seemed like a filler that had extended that sequence. Whereas Spielberg is so talented, he could have just as easily directed that with just looks and looking at the people's like, cowboy boots in the bar, and you still would have figured out what was going on, like it just is a weird device.
Absolutely, yeah. Speaking of that bar scene, that happens around the middle of this movie, and I think it's in some ways the best and the worst of this movie as far as scenes go. It slows this movie down to a standstill. It's about a 15-minute scene, I think, maybe around there. But it's also one of the moments that builds some great tension in this movie, where Dave Mann walks out of the bathroom, which I think is a single take shot where he walks in and out of the bathroom, which is pretty cool. But he's looking around the bar at all the patrons, and he's trying to figure out who could be the trucker, which is such great moment of building up suspense, which is interrupted by the waitress like dropping the utensils on his plate. Spielberg, I think, is what was I going to say? He's so good at he's such a great filmmaker at building up tension. And what was I going to say here?
I don't think it's too long. I think you need it to be that long.
Yeah, it's funny because the inner monologue for me during that scene kind of made me question if maybe the truck wasn't even real. Like maybe he was just seeing things because of the
My
inner
partner had the
monologue.
same
Once he
question.
started talking to himself, I'm thinking like, is this dude going nuts? And he thinks he sees a
Yeah.
trucker because nobody else is like, you know what I mean? Is it in his mind? But I actually, and who orders a sandwich with just cheese? That is
Wait, and he does it on rye, and he spells out rye, like to
Rye is
eliminate
the
any confusion.
grossest bread ever.
What confusion was he worried about?
The
The waitress
dry
gathering
sandwich.
from this.
Did you notice that bit of like blocking that I really like, where he's like on the telephone in the background and the woman is like doing laundry, like taking clothes out of the dryer in the
Oh,
foreground.
the saggy
That's
arm in the
what-
I'm like,
foreground.
I was like, oh, that's such a good little moment. Like it just is
I'm
like,
like, who has
yeah.
a laundry
I love that. And
mat
that was
in a gas station?
Well, no, keep in mind, Ellie, this is the early 1970s. This is the Great American Desert. Back then, these types of gas stations and roadside attractions were built up to like get people to stop. The same thing with like the snake and animal wrangler out in the desert. People wanted people to stop at gas stations and hang out and like eat their food and stop and do things at these gas stations so that they would make extra money it was like a roadside
How
circus
Route
at these
66
places.
started.
Roadside circus. I
Yeah.
like that.
This
But
was
that
common. This
circle
was very
shot that
common.
you're talking, that circle shot that you're talking about, Sam, I think he added that in the extra
Oh, really?
footage, and I think
Cool.
it's so perfect because it's like the rear view mirror that we see him looking in all the time.
Yeah.
Like that looking through another lens is such a theme in the film, and it's just such a strong cinematic language that he's using. It's so good.
And the cinematic language is so strong, and like what blows me away about the movie is he never, and this is like, and this happens in Jaws and other movies, but he never overdoes like the introduction of suspense. For some reason, his direction always comes across as like serene, but the menace seems to exude from it. And like an example of that is like when Dennis Weaver first encounters the truck, when you first see it in the movie, had it been another director, they might have like, come up over the, glass rearview mirror. Then you see it. They might have introduced like, here comes the menace. But the way Spielberg does it, it's just like a straight on shot. You see the truck in the distance. There's no music. There's no build up, but immediately that is the truck. You feel nervous right away because that that's the truck. The first time I saw the movie, I'd never seen the movie. That first shot, you're like, oh my God. And the menace is just like when he pulls up to the gas station 5 minutes after encountering the truck, you see him pull up to the gas station, and then there's like 20 seconds go by, and then the truck pulls up to the gas station. And it's just like, you feel this like predatory sense of like a beast coming in. And it blows me away that Spielberg does that, because I've seen so many other decent suspenseful movies that don't achieve that visceral level. And there's like a fine, elusive line that blows me away with his directing. It just amazes me. Yeah.
It's amazing.
There's a moment where I heard the Psycho song.
Oh yeah.
Right?
That was totally on purpose. Yeah.
He was a huge fan of Hitchcock.
It's like,
you mentioned that the tension buildup. When I think of this film, I also obviously you have to think of Jaws, even Jurassic Park. You can't help but wonder, what a straightforward, horror movie from Spielberg would be like. And I know, it's very highly likely that he directed Poltergeist. That those rumors fly around.
Yeah,
but
he's like 80% of Poltergeist.
how could Tobe Hooper have done that movie? Every single frame of that movie has Spielberg written all over it. I hope before he retires, he does take on the horror genre.
He said he wanted to. Didn't he say something about that recently? Was it you that was telling me that he originally he was going to do that the remake of like Bullet with Bradley Cooper, but now he's not sure what he's going to do. But he's like, I'd really like to go back to something scary. I think I heard that sound bite in an article, and I was like,
good.
Yes, please.
He's got it in him. The tension that he knows how to build and release at the right moment. He's got the chops for it. And the fact that he has not done it in 50 years full on is blows me away that he hasn't done it. Jaws, obviously, but I really hope he does.
Counterpoint, Fablemans was a horror movie to those of us who are traumatized.
That's a good counterpoint.
There's psychological horror, plenty of psychological horror out there. Yeah.
Can I get another counterpoint, Ellie? Another counterpoint?
No.
Sorry.
No.
Going once, going twice. Counterpoint. Sold.
I want to mention something that the funniest moment of this movie for me. I don't know if anyone agrees or disagrees, but I got such a laugh out loud moment for me. Minor moment. Dave is being chased by the rig. He's run off the road, hits the fence, and he's complaining that his neck is hurting him. And, Farmer Billy Bob comes on over and he says, "Oh, he's all right." And then like Country Joe says, does a little like wave like this. This is funny interaction. I just lost it at that moment there. I don't know if anyone else caught that little interaction.
I caught that. It was funny.
I laughed. That's the hardest I laughed in the whole movie.
Seal. I think that's my guy Charles Seal you're talking about.
Is it? I don't know. But it just the awkward wave, like it was just a weird wave, and I loved it so much.
I loved seeing real people on screen. That was so fun for me.
Got dings, dents, scratches, or faded paint? Mako's got you covered. Refresh your ride with your refund during our tax season event, because your car deserves to shine. Head to Maaco.com to schedule your estimate today. Better get Maaco. Your car's dings, faded paint, and scratches aren't going to fix themselves. At Maaco, paint damage repair is as easy as book, quote, fix. Come to Maaco to refresh your ride with a paint and collision repair backed by our best price guarantee. Better get Maaco.
I like the actor that looked like a more like jockish version of Craig T. Nelson. He's the guy who's eating a sandwich, and like Dennis Weaver comes up to him and is like, "I want you to cut it out." And he's eating a sandwich. He's like, "Cut what out?" He just was like such a good like regular Joe. Like, who is this bastard? You know, like I love that scene. That was good.
The guy that was playing pool looks just like Stephen King.
Yes,
isn't
it?
Our second favorite Steven.
What else do we want to mention about this? So some of the scenes that were added was, I think, the school bus scene with the absolute worst children ever in a movie.
That scene does not like allude to Spielberg's future work with children.
No,
it's just like, hey, look at these little punks, you know, like.
But it does have a couple of my favorite shots in the movie, like when they're looking at the bus driver and he's turning around looking down at them. You see through the windshield down that tunnel, and you know that truck is going to appear any moment through there.
Yeah,
and
that was
awesome.
Yeah,
so the scenes he added were the opening where he pulled out of the garage, which is great. He added more to the opening.
Really?
All I could think of was Grand Theft Auto during that opening scene. I don't know why.
Well, that means you've been spending too much time with me. The opening scene, the anything where he was on the phone, that was all added in, which is an interesting conversation to have.
The conversation, was it the whole conversation or just the side of the conversation with the wife?
It was the phone calls with his wife, which I think adds an interesting layer of context to the gender conversation.
It's also bizarre because it's the first time the only time in the whole movie where we're not seeing this whole story from Dave's perspective, which takes me out of it. It's weird. It's a weird choice to suddenly
could have been just like a filming thing. Like a
you mean when it goes into his wife's house?
The wife's house.
And the way that shot, it's almost doesn't seem so Spielbergian. Different. It's just like this kind of like cheap house set. It just the way the staging of that rings false to me, and it's not a big deal. It doesn't bother me that much. It's just like a weird cutaway. You'd think because it was a Spielberg movie that they'd be in a more natural, like she'd be by a window and it would be raining and the camera would pan to the kid watching TV. But instead it's like, nope, watch. They look like they're on a stage, you know. Anyway, sorry, yeah.
No, it's okay. Yeah, no, you watched that movie.
Does Spielberg even like kids? I've forgotten that scene. That's how not important to me that scene was.
Yeah, it's not. It goes by in a second. I know what you mean, Nathan. Where it's like it just feels weird.
What was the another one that was added? The bus,
it was
the wife,
the phone with the wife, the school bus, and the railroad, and the blowing up of the truck. So I think without the diner scene being so long, if you add in all these other scenes, it starts to look like a serial or like a mini series or just like a series of vignettes where he runs into problems with the truck. But because you have this long extended inner monologue and you see him like confronted with how other people are facing the truck or not facing the truck, then these vignettes like can just happen quicker.
Interesting. I didn't realize that the opening, was there none of that pulling out of town before, or was that just opening extended? Because I love that opening.
I think it was just extended. I think it's the out of the garage that was really the big thing.
I love the out of the garage, and I like that. Like if you listen to the radio and you see the signs, you can actually sort of like follow his driving route. Like there's a logic to that. Having driven in like California and the desert like a lot, he literally, I think it's like he like leaves LA and like takes the 15 or the 14 north and heads out. But it's just like those I like it when those details are in movies like that, because if someone didn't know about that area at all, it doesn't matter. But to someone who's driven there before, that detail, it just adds an extra thing. So it's just like more candy for, you know, I'm like, oh, I know that. Oh, well, yeah. And I like that he meets the truck driver in a very quiet area of his trip. Like you get the sense he's coming from society out into the boondocks of nowhere, and it's right in that most desolate kind of country hillside that the truck is just like lumbering along, and it's like, creepy.
And all of this, I'm thinking, what the hell did he do that got the trucker so angry?
I think the trucker just picked him as his victim and was like, yeah, I'm going to get this guy, because the trucker also has the
He was
license
such a
plate.
troll. He was just a 1970s troll on the highway. Now we have the trolls in the social media, but that's a troll right there.
Total troll. And
It's a
the
troll.
trucker has the license plates of all the people he's killed on the front of his truck. That's what, so he's just like, I think that
Would
Dennis
you
Weaver.
think that's what it is? That people that he's killed? Is
Yeah,
that what it is?
His
It
victims.
is.
Yeah.
Those
Steven
are his
Spielberg
victims.
has acknowledged this. Yes. That
Their license plate. I think that Dennis Weaver
his trophies.
just irked him enough, and he's like, yeah, this guy's next. Like, I think he's just total sociopathic psycho.
But
like,
I think he was a
my-
perfect target for him also.
Yeah.
It wasn't arbitrary either, because here's Dennis Weaver, this city dweller in his shiny red orange car,
Plymouth.
out of his element, completely out of his element, passing him, honk, and he didn't honk at him, but he passed him, shouldn't have done that, but he is not a good old boy from the country or in the desert. So he knew that this was a weak, emasculated man, and he saw him as somebody that he could do this to as a bully. So
Right.
this was not just an arbitrary, like, I'm just going to go after this guy.
It wouldn't work in 2023 with cell phones and stuff, but then, now you could just be like, help.
Yeah. He saw his car and like, yeah, this is that's my bitch.
I don't like trucks. I hate trucks. I fear of trucks. When I'm on the highway and there's a truck, I have to pass the truck really, really fast. And then I drive like 80, 90 miles per hour away from that truck.
Did anyone have any issues or think twice about passing Riggs this week?
I
have not driven. I haven't been on the highway yet.
Did you cut any off?
Drive through like a highway in Missouri. There's like a 2-lane highway, and it's all trucks, and they take over the whole thing, and it's just like suffering for 3 hours. Yeah.
I drove with my eyes closed all week.
Oh man. I heard something on the news about a car that crashed into a bunch of houses. Was that no?
Yeah, no, I'm not. And then there's tarantula in the middle of the scene. I was like, I don't like
that was good, too.
spiders.
I'm not a fan of snakes and spiders, but I do feel kind of bad that trucker just took all of those animals out.
I'm like watching this film. I'm like, why do you give your back?
The woman
to
lost
the
her
street?
business.
Yeah.
The
But
woman did.
also, oh, sorry, go ahead, Ellie.
No, I said, why do you, like, if I get on that phone booth, I wouldn't give my back to the street. I would be looking to the street.
Right. Yeah.
I do have one.
Are you?
There's opportunity lost by the scene at the Snake-orama, whatever it is. If that scene had not existed, where the truck came back and destroyed it, I think there could have been an argument made that this whole interaction would have been in Dave Mann's head. That this is just him kind of
right. True.
I thought about that.
I agree.
Agree.
Which I think would have been a more powerful movie if we were left questioning whether this was just kind of him working out his own.
Yeah, because that's what
anxieties.
I got from. And that's what I was thinking when he was at the bar scene. I thought he was with that inner monologue, and I'm thinking it's his ego and
his paranoia, anxieties taking over what's going on with his family and his wife. I thought about that on a second viewing. Is there a possibility this is all in his head?
Yeah,
but I really can't deny the fact that he destroyed this poor woman's business
and the school bus, and he helped the school bus.
But that also could have been the whole interaction. All could have been in Dave's head. But
I just love how this bus driver just thinks he's nuts.
I mean, still, I do. Even that interaction with that woman, it could still be part of his head. We don't know.
It could be.
The explosion could be part of his head.
It could be.
I
like to think that there's a possibility this all was in his head.
That's definitely a possibility
about it.
I would say just like one physical thing I like about the movie is that there's nothing that Dennis Weaver does with his car or with himself that gets too much into like action hero mode where he would do something unrealistic. And I feel like, God forbid there was ever a modern remake of Duel, which there shouldn't be, but if there was, they would pump it up and have set pieces that just were a little
He
too
can't. He
and
was
I
a
like that
nerd.
it's grounded. Like the way he defeated that truck was soundly realistic within the context of that. Like I totally accepted what happened, and the way because on an upgrade, his car weighs less, the truck is heavy. Like the logic of the action made sense, and that's why I love this movie because it's just there's no explanation. You also never see the driver, so they're always a menace. And I'd like to believe that the evil truck driver never went into that bar and was never in there, that he parked there. And Dennis Weaver was looking at all those people in the bar, but I just get this feeling that he never set foot in there.
He never did.
Creepy vibe. I don't think he did. That's what I like
He never
about
did.
it. Yeah.
He was never in the bar. He was always in the truck.
Yeah, that's what I like to believe. Yeah.
I think he destroyed the snakes and tarantulas as a moment of like being an apex predator, because the only other things you see in the movie are predators.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you have this moment where he's an apex predator, and essentially a Plymouth Valiant was a Dodge Dart. So, like, he really can't do anything souped up and crazy, and it does make it better.
There is a moment when the truck like knocks over all the tarantulas and all that stuff, and the music, and the woman is upset. It almost sounds like a beat or like a techno beat because it's like, and she's like, no, and I'm just watching it like.
If you listen to just this week and last week's podcast, you're gonna think Steven Spielberg has terrible taste in music.
But at least he didn't have something really cheesy. Like, can you imagine, like, in the middle of Amistad, if it was like, "Don't stop believing you'll be free soon"? Be like, well, that's terrible and offensive.
I don't think he has terrible taste in music. I think he just that's the sounds that goes with the.
Oh yeah, no, I liked it. I just that scene. There's a this is just my mind, but there's a dancing element when the truck's like spinning around.
I didn't get that, Sam. Like, I did not get that. Okay, yeah. So I don't know what you're talking about.
That's true. It's because I'm crazy. I think, but yeah, it's in my head.
I heard some salsa music then.
Nice.
I love too that like. After he defeats the truck, like he has a rough night ahead.
He might not survive that night still. There's coyotes and snakes and tarantulas.
And
he's a dead man.
He totally is. But you know something? He's a dead man that's well dressed. And I noticed that everybody back then just dressed really nicely. Like it wasn't like sloppy. Like nowadays people just dress with PJs. Like they go out to their supermarket and they're wearing their pajamas. Like nobody ever takes pride on how they have to dress to go outside. I dress even just to go to CVS. I might not wear makeup, but I look nice. Not like I
wear clothes too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that, he's got his tie on and whatever. So even the countrymen were dressed nicely.
I've always wanted to show up on a film set as a production assistant, like dressed in a suit with like loafers on and be like the least helpful production assistant ever. And like, but I am here to assist the production. And then I like have this like 300-page screenplay and I just like throw it in the director's lap when they're like trying to shoot. But anyway, that's a non sequitur fantasy of mine, but yeah.
Make it a movie.
But they did, he I know what you mean about Duel. There's like formal, if this was a modern film, he would have been in like flip-flops and you know what I mean? Like just like he came off the beach or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so yeah, he's going to be a well-dressed dead man in the mountains.
He has a rough night ahead of him in the same way that like at the end of Terminator 2, it's like, yes, they've destroyed the chip and they've destroyed the Terminator, but lest we forget the entire federal government is after Sarah and John Connor. Like they're still in trouble with all of the United States. Like they're on the run forever now. So, but that doesn't matter because they got the real villain, so.
Hey, and the driver might still be alive. He jumped out of that truck, right? That door was open.
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the great opening to Duel 2. Like if it just goes back to that bar and the actual Duel villain comes in, but his face is all messed up and is like missing teeth, and it'll be like, "You'll never believe what happened to me," and it's like Duel 2.
No,
Yeah.
no, sir.
It would be a terrible film, but I'd watch it.
Yeah, no.
I'd watch it.
There is a Titanic 2 out there. It's
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Don't say that. There's only one Titanic for me, and that's
true.
DiCaprio's.
Titanic 2 is a sci-fi film where it's I haven't seen it, but it exists.
I haven't seen it.
Me neither.
We probably won't review it. I don't know if it's worth it, but
Can we talk about the source material for Duel?
Sure.
Right?
yeah.
It was a short story by Richard Matheson in Playboy. And it ended up on Steven Spielberg's desk, but Richard Matheson, same guy who wrote I Am Legend. This dude just pumping out screenplay material in Playboy.
Interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's right. I remember in the document that you prepared, wasn't there like a really funny quote from Spielberg where he was like, "Oh, that was the one time I was reading Playboy magazine when I wasn't looking at the pictures," or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just kind of like yeah.
Can you even read Playboy magazines? How do you read those?
This is
what?
this was an article, yeah.
I probably saw a Playboy magazine probably in the last 7-8 years. There's nothing in Playboy magazine except for articles now.
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean there's no naked women?
I don't think there is really.
Is Playboy also for men? Wait, naked men?
It's no different than like Men's Life. Is that the magazine Men's Life or whatever? Men's Journal. I think they've almost ceased nudity in the magazine now.
And Playboy?
When I turned 18,
Yeah.
Marge Simpson was the Playboy cover girl, so that's a Playboy that I own. But that's
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The one thing before we wrap this up, I just want to say this because I think the MVP of this movie, and I don't know who the editor was of this, but I just think, Steven Spielberg, obviously chose the shots of this movie, but this movie I think is elevated just by the amazing editing. Because, all of these cuts that are done during these driving sequences, this could have been such a dull, droll movie with all these driving sequences. But the fact that he shot this with multiple cameras and it's tightly edited, is just unbelievable. And how the tension is elevated with the amazing editing in this. I think this is what really does it for me and makes this movie just incredibly exciting throughout these driving sequences. By the way, the driving stunt work in this, no, it's not Bullet, it's not the French Connection, but it's damn good for a TV movie.
Yeah.
And
hot take, I liked it better than French Connection.
Frank Morris is
pacing.
the editor. That's his name, Frank Morris. And this is before Steven's lifelong collaboration with Michael Kahn, who just did like everything. But I agree, the editing is incredible, and like it's when you're watching a good movie, you just accept it as, of course, this is great. But when you watch a bad movie, it just makes you realize how hard and how much effort goes into a good one. So if you want to see the antithesis of this, watch any car chase from, I can't even remember the movie. The terrible, the cross country Burt Reynolds,
Smoking the Bandit,
Cannibal Run.
Cannibal
Run, yeah. I love Smoking the Bandit, Cannibal Run 1 and 2, terrible car chases.
But everything's on a blue screen, and they did a lot of undercranking to make the illusion of things going faster. There's no undercranking anything in this movie. And even though you could tell that these cars are probably only going like 35 miles an hour, who cares? The fact that they're not trying to like break the illusion, making them like.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah. Sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Go fast by like speeding up the film. I hate that so much because like
that was his choice. He said they wanted to do. The producers were like, "Well, you just shoot process out the window, the blue screen." He was the one that said no, it had to be on location. I'm just amazed by Spielberg, by Spielberg's vision and his like directorial eye getting through so incredibly as like a 24 or 25-year-old,
23, I think.
Yeah, it's just the clarity of that vision, and it blows me away. Yeah,
I have to say, I'm so happy I saw this movie this week because it reminded me why I wanted to get into filmmaking. It really did. This really, in a lot of ways, re-inspired me again. Why I do this, and I want to. I tried doing a movie over the summer. Things didn't work out, but it made me realize why I do this and what's possible on again, this was done for
why you should keep doing it too.
Or $450,000, but what can be done,
Yes. Yeah.
So it really was inspiring to me again, seeing this.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull had a lot more money and wasn't as good as this. But
So yeah, I just wanted to leave it at that because this was a delight to see again.
Yeah,
it was my first time seeing it, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that you enjoyed it, Ellie, and like Nathan, I agree with you like 1,000%. It's like going back to the core of what inspires me about like filmmaking, and you just feel that you're just like, Yep.
All right, I think that we can close the book on Duel.
But who would Mark Wahlberg have played in Duel, though?
Wait, hold on. Wait for this.
Something in this field could be releasing the chemical into the air when there's too many of us together. Don't eyeball me, boy. I see your mother driving up and down the street looking at me. I'll be your stepfather by the week.
It's a bad time, Bob.
I'm serious. If I leave now, I'm not coming back.
You ever hear the expression, you got a face only a mother can love?
Let's just stay ahead of the wind.
That is our new bumper for our Mark Wahlberg segment.
If he was Dennis Weaver's character, he would be very funny in the bar. He'd be like, "Look, I just want you to cut it out. Stop messing with me on the road. I know what you're doing out there. I fucking saw it. I know what you're doing." Like,
Mark Wahlberg talks like a teenager.
There's something wrong with these bees in the field. The air is changing. We got to do something, guys.
He's got that voice. A man, but a boy's voice.
Ellie, have you been watching Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers?
Oh, you kid! Of course,
incredible. It's incredible. Sorry, non sequitur. Yeah,
I love it.
I'm gonna get to it once I wrap up the two shows I'm trying to get through right now.
You will love it. It's It's like the Celtics versus the Lakers, and it's like the rivalry, and it's so epic. Oh,
it's so freaking cool.
I will get there.
It's exciting.
It is.
I will get there. All right. That was our Wahlberg on Wahlberg segments. I don't think there's really anybody else to insert into to recast in this movie except for Dennis Weaver or the truck.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg as the truck, just like CGI'd in, like on all fours, with like wheels on his hands, like he's like a big transformer. Like has a Michael Bay-ish like CGI effect. That'd be weird. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I'm coming for you.
All right. It is time for our recommendation shelf.
Sir.
What?
Are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Well, have you heard anything about either one of them?
I find it's best to stay out of other people's affairs.
You mean you haven't heard anybody say anything about either one of these?
Nope.
Well, what about these two?
Oh, they suck.
All right. Our recommendation shelf segment this week is trucker movies.
What was
How
that
it re-
audio clip from, by the way?
Wow.
I've heard that. I know that movie. I just can't place it. What is it?
Sam, it's Clerks.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I knew I'd heard it somewhere. Yeah.
That should have been an offline question. You've embarrassed yourself.
That's true.
Sam, you're fired.
No,
Your
I have
last
two.
day is the
We've
27th.
You got 2
established
weeks.
I have 2 weeks before.
It's 2 weeks
I'm fired.
notice. It's 2 weeks notice.
Sam, pack your knives and go.
Okay.
And your chicken nuggets too.
So we are going to be recommending, each of us are going to be recommending a movie this week that has a trucker theme to it, loosely trucker theme. Mine is very loose, but it's one of my favorites of all time. Ellie, why don't you begin with your recommendation?
Unhinged.
Unhinged. I've seen this one. It is fun.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's so freaking nerve wracking.
I love it when Russell Crowe is like, just be polite. Just be polite.
He's so good. He plays such an evil person, but you know what? A mama is gonna do whatever it takes to take care of her son.
Well, tell the audience about the film.
Well, the film stars. So basically, the film stars Russell Crowe. I don't really know the other actors. Oh, sorry, my apologies. But what I love mostly about the whole film, I like that I don't know the other actors. It's probably pretty popular, but I don't know them. But I love that the lesson that I got from the movie, and it's funny because movies can obviously always get a lesson from the movies, and the lesson is obviously make the right choice when you're out there on the road, because this movie is about this guy in a truck that just basically went to go kill his ex-wife and put fire on their house, and he's got psychological problems. He's taking pills. He's probably having he's been just divorced, probably
Is he
lost
unhinged?
money. Yeah, he's unhinged, and I just think that here comes this lady with his son. She's running late and to drop him off at school and to her client, and she just because why? Because she oversleeps. Apparently, this lady is always late to everything. So kind of reminds me of somebody I know. Anyway, and so the thing is, like, she's driving her kid, and you know how you're sitting at the light and the light turns green, and somebody beeps at you to like, dude, the light just went green, right? So, well, she does this, and she passes the guy in the truck, and who's Russell, and she beeps at him like really harsh, and he catches up to her, and it's sort of this chase that he starts to like follow her, and she stops at a gas station. She goes to this inside to pay. She leaves her cell phone, and now Russell knows everything about her because he actually steals the phone, takes it, and now she knows all of her appointments and where she's going throughout the day. In any case, it's a chase, a lot of chasing this woman, and she hiding from him, and him trying to. I mean, there's a scene in this movie where he goes to meet up with the lawyer, and he basically kills the lawyer right in front of
in the
everybody
restaurant,
in
right?
that restaurant. Yeah,
I love that scene.
and it's so gruesome. It's like, oh, I did not expect that. I was like, whoa, wait, that's horrible. And this man has no remorse. He don't care.
Yeah.
And he don't care. He kills it in front of everybody, and you see people like videotaping the whole scene. and I watched the movie with Carlos, and I said, it's funny because you don't really know who's driving anymore behind, like you don't know who's behind the wheels. So you can't beep at anybody. You can't get into a fight with somebody, because what if it's a psycho and it's gonna follow you to your house and then do stuff to you? Pretty scary movie. I felt scared of the movie. Scared because this can happen. This is real.
Yeah, it's like
it's
topical.
real.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a movie, but it's real. People nowadays are just psychos. And worse, people don't even help you. If you're in trouble, they're just gonna pull their phone and videotape the whole scene, somebody killing you. They're not even going to come to your rescue. And it's like so sad that our society has come down to this level, because I grew up in a society that was nothing like this. And it's become so violent. And at the very end of the movie, she was at a stop sign and she was about to honk that horn, and she doesn't. She stops, and her son says, "Good choice, mom." You know, and we put our kids in danger because we don't know how to control our anger. You know, like if you're late for work, dude. If you're already late for work and you think that by rushing to work you're gonna be on time, like, seriously, there's something wrong with you. Because if you're already late for work, don't rush. You're gonna be late already. You know, it's not. You're not gonna get there on time. And what's gonna happen? It's gonna start fights with people on the road. And there's so much rage out there with people, humanity, that it is really scary to drive around. This movie I liked, but it scared me. It really did, because it's real to me. It's very real out there, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't.
That's a good point.
That's a great point.
Mm-hmm. So that's my movie.
Okay.
I recommend it. Watch it, because it's gonna make you think twice if you're ever in a situation like that. Not to like touch your horn in your car and beep at, you know, don't beep at anybody.
I did beep at a van at a highway in like Iowa, and they followed me for 20 miles to a gas station, and they blocked the exit. Like they parked sideways with their van. But I knew that all I had to do was wait in the store, because by blocking the road, no one else could get out. So they would have to move. So I just waited them out, and then I just bolted. But
my God.
like it happened. Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, if you beep at somebody and they're mad, they have mental problems, you know, unsolved problems. They could just pull out a gun and kill you right there and then.
It's true. It's scary. Yeah.
So so it's too much real, but it's a really good lesson to learn from the movie. So. Yeah.
All right, Ellie. Not Ellie. Sorry, B. Why don't you tell me about your recommendation this week?
My recommendation for the objectively perfect big rig movie is 1986 Maximum Overdrive, which is a documentary made by Stephen King about that time in 1986 when a comet passed by Earth and all the trucks came to life and held Emilio Estevez hostage. It was a national tragedy. We barely made it out.
That's awesome. I have not seen that. Now I want to. Yeah.
It is so much better than it has a right to be. I can't say it's good, but do I enjoy it? Yeah, I enjoy it. I will kick back, have some wine, and watch Maximum Overdrive with someone. It does.
And it must be watched in tandem with the trailer.
It's just a fun time, you know. It's just a good time. It's just a good time. And there is, for my second Simpsons reference of the night, there is a Yardley Smith cameo by the voice of Lisa Simpson. So she comes in, and of course you recognize her right away because you hear Lisa's voice on screen, and it's like coke-fueled nightmare of 18-wheelers holding people hostage in this like diner in 1986. It's super 80s. It's super Stephen King. It's super fun. You should check it out.
Now, I want to say that, B, you're crazy. This is a terrible movie to recommend. But honestly, I haven't seen this movie in probably 33 years, 34 years. So I could not recall anything about it, honestly. I remember taking it out of a video store when I was probably like 15 years old. But I don't remember anything.
I think you just have to like leave your pretensions at the door. You know, there's some movies where you're like, is this going to be technically proficient? I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. But is it like a really good time and you can kind of suspend disbelief and you watch it the whole time and you're not just like on your phone? Yeah. Yeah, I think it's that.
I've never seen this movie, so
I'm going to watch it tonight.
Wild.
I think I'm kind of interested. Yeah.
It's just a popcorn movie. It's just a popcorn movie. It's fun.
I was more of what's the Emilio Estevez movie where him and Charlie Sheen were the trash men.
Oh, Men at Work.
Men at Work.
Yes.
That was my jam back then.
Okay, the better Emilio Estevez car movie is Repo Men.
I know. I'm not talking about car movies. I'm just saying that was the movie that I recorded off of HBO, and for some reason, I watched that movie to death.
It's a good movie.
I don't know why. Terrible film.
You've lost all rights to talk about Maximum Overdrive.
No, I don't have any rights to talk about it. I don't.
Oh, you lost the rights.
But I will get behind Young Guns any day of the week.
What about Young Guns
Outsiders?
2? What about Young Guns 2?
Just as
Outsiders is great. Outsiders is great.
Yeah.
Also, Badlands.
We're gonna do a Emilio Estevez Brat Pack marathon. Is what or not just.
I would
Emilio
totally
Estevez,
do that.
with Brat Pack, Brat-tober,
Character study.
I don't know.
Brat-tober.
We'll see. We'll get there when we get there. Maybe next year. Braduary.
What?
Brave
Hold on. And I sitting here and I feel like I'm in another planet.
I don't know.
Ellie's like, listen. You know,
all right. Let's move on. Sam, hit us up.
So a movie I like. It's a 1997 action thriller movie directed by Jonathan Mostow called Breakdown. Stars Kurt Russell as the good guy, J.T. Walsh as the bad guy. It definitely has J.T. Walsh is a truck driver that kidnaps Kurt Russell's wife, and he tricks him, kidnaps his wife, and then the rest of the movie is he has to like find her and chase her down. There's a diner scene that is very reminiscent of Duel. Duel is clearly the vastly superior film. There is no comparison. Breakdown is a bit more Hollywoodish because it has that elemental suspense, but it gets into more kind of like action movie standard plots. But I enjoy it. There's good suspense. There is some good vehicular action. And I particularly like the end, that the way that he finally discovers his wife is the bad guys have got the upper hand and he just can't, they're out of range, off the radios. He cannot keep up with them. He runs into the main bad guy at a truck stop, climbs into the underbelly of his truck. And so Kurt Russell is basically hiding in this guy's truck and rides with him all through the night, all the way to his like farm home where all the other bad guys are. And it's like Hickville with guns, and like the 15-year-old son is playing a video game, and like he comes in with a shotgun. So it's really like rural, like Americana, like vicious, like I'm going to get my wife back, you bastard. And like, there's just a tone to it that I really, really enjoy. So I would give the movie, it's not great, but I would give it a solid 3.5 stars. Highly entertaining. Breakdown, directed by Jonathan Mostow, who did Terminator 3 and a few other good films. Nice. But he's a decent director.
Nice. And that's
solidarity and recommending 2.5-star films.
Paramount Plus, you can catch that.
I've actually seen Breakdown. I really liked it too.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is Kurt Russell week because I am recommending Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, Dan Burton.
From 1986, directed by John Carpenter, stars Kurt Russell as Jack Burton.
Great call.
He is more legend than truck driver, actually. He drives the Pork Chop Express Freightliner, which tells you everything you need to know about him. Jack is thrust into the centuries-old supernatural conflict involving Chinese black magic and sorcery. A skeptic would see the events of this film as utter nonsense, but they would be completely wrong. This film is genius. The film has this kinetic pacing to it. It's full of witty one-liners. Kurt Russell is terrific in this film as sort of a hero, but honestly, he's mostly just kind of blundering along in this movie. I don't know what the terminology is for when your hero never actually does anything. He's just kind of the side. He's actually the sidekick, and the character who's actually the hero is the other guy in this movie that actually I think gets a lot of the things done in this movie. It's great, campy fun. And in hindsight, it was really ahead of its time when it comes to Chinese style wire work and mythology in a lot of Hollywood action films. So I love this film. It gets better all the time, every time I see it. And it's available on Paramount Plus and on VOD.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
I also have a thing for like subterranean action, or I like it. I just like the movie how it's like the Chinese magical underworld, but it's like beneath the buildings and they go into the street, and like I like the production design element of that, and I kind of like the themes of those movies where it's like a magical world hidden in plain sight. Like there's a whole culture that like Jack Burton just like falls into, and he's like, "What the hell's going on around here?"
Yeah.
So highly entertaining.
Fish
Love that
out of
movie,
water.
yeah. Yes.
I always was scratching my head that they never got any kind of sequel to this.
Well,
Or
it
even
didn't
a
do
spiritual
well at the
sequel.
box office.
No,
Like,
it didn't, but it became a cult
Yeah.
classic not that long afterwards. So I feel like even Kurt Russell could still do a sequel to this today.
He could, and I don't. It's interesting. I wonder if it was a marketing thing, because like it gives you a sense of like audiences. Like that summer, Karate Kid Part 2 came out like right around the same time. It was a big financial hit, nowhere near as good as Karate Kid Part 1. But like Big Trouble in Little China is such a innovative. I'm surprised that didn't catch fire.
I think we get a Thing sequel before we get Big Trouble.
We had a Thing sequel.
We had a remake that I just liked the original so much I didn't want to watch the new one, but it might not be bad.
No, I
I
want
just
to tell
haven't
you
seen
something.
it. Yeah.
I will defend the Thing prequel sequel because I actually loved that 2011 prequel.
Now I will see it because every movie you've recommended that I hadn't seen before, I love, and it all started with Fall.
It is lacking the practical effects. It definitely goes for CGI. However, I personally dug it. I don't know. I can't explain why, but it has the aura of the first one, even though it is not John Carpenter, The Thing.
Have you guys seen John Carpenter's The Fog?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like
it's
it.
good, but it's not great though. But it's like it has some wonderful photography.
It has
in
some
it that I
really
love,
fun.
I find it lesser. Christine is playing. It's the 40th anniversary. It's playing in some theaters right now.
Oh wow!
I thought about that as a recommendation as well.
I know what you mean about The Fog being a little bit lesser because it's like Carpenter did the first Halloween, right?
Yeah,
and so. That was right before The Fog, and so going
there's
from
top
that
tier,
to
this
Fog,
top
it's
tier
like,
Carpenter, and it's definitely not top tier Carpenter.
Yeah, but there is a Fog, just because you'd mentioned remakes, there is a Fog remake that is really not good at all, but like it's just so slick, like it's ridiculous.
There are some remakes that have just ruined it for me. So my favorite movie is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and I
love that film.
It's my favorite, but I refuse to watch the new one that they made.
I heard
I watched Crouching Tiger. I hate to admit this. I watched Flacking Tiger, Hidden Plagan. No, I watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon one night, and I'd seen this movie many times over 20 years. So I was enjoying some scotch watching this film. It ended, and I was like, "Oh, I'll start the second one." Literally, I lasted 3 minutes and was like, nope. And to be fair, I have not seen the film, so I can't judge it. But you could feel the difference in like framing. The second that new one starts, it's like CGI, flashy, flat. I can't explain it, but there was no tonality continuity. It's like going from Aliens to Alien 3 and being like, my life sucks,
Yeah. All right.
So
can we do
see
an
why you
honorable?
avoided that. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we do an honorable big rig mention for Fury Road?
Please, I will. Yeah. I'll toast to that.
That was a great Nathan. Yeah, you brought that up in the chat, Nathan, and I was like, I couldn't stop thinking about it.
I was hoping somebody might bring up Mad Max.
I didn't make it my rec because it was my.
There's
my
a,
next
that
pick.
the sequel, the
Good.
Furiosa's coming out next year, and every time I hear the word Furiosa, I mix it with Hermione saying Wingardium Leviosa, and she's like Furiosa, Furiosa.
I so badly. We have a dog named Stella. I wanted to name her Furiosa. Nobody in the house would back me up on it.
Oh, that's a great name.
You gotta get another dog.
No,
it's the only solution.
Anyways, we're kind of getting into the other segment that we were going to wrap the show up with, and that is our segment called Movie Musings, where we're just going to talk about, mention any other thing in our life involving movies right now. It is not required, but anybody want to just mention anything that they've seen or want to see or talk about in the world of movies? Now is the time that the floor is open.
I want to see Equalizer 3 just because I enjoyed Denzel Washington and entertaining. I have not.
But you're not a dad.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. But I don't know. I just like watching him kill people. You know what? I haven't seen any movies. Just Winning Time on HBO. Amazing show. Not a film, but that's honestly what I've been watching recently. That's about it at present.
Excellent.
I watched The Big Short. This weekend I watched The Big Short, and
love that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Great movie. It's on Netflix, and also watched all the Saw movies. It was like a Saw marathon from Friday night until Sunday.
Did you watch Spiral?
That's awesome.
Did you watch the Spiral movie?
Everything 1 through 9.
Oh. I haven't seen any of the Insidious movies. I want to watch those.
And I have to tell you something. I think that as much as gruesome of a thing is that this guy from Saw does to people, he's kind of justifying it. He's only doing it to bad people that are like scammers and treat other people wrong. So he's kind of trying to teach them a lesson, and and he's giving them a chance to change. And if they don't change, then they get killed. So I guess okay, I'm okay
Allie's
with
here
that.
for vengeance.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. It's kind of like Dexter, he kills.
I feel bad because I've killed a lot of production assistants because it's like, no, I wanted more ice, but they didn't get my drink right, so it's like, you can't live after that.
I did like the 1 through. I didn't like second. I like third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I didn't like 7, 8, 8, 9. I don't know.
That's a lot.
Okay.
I just want to see the Insidious movies. I don't know why, I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen
I've
one.
seen them all.
I feel like
I've
I would
seen
like
all
them.
Insidious. I've seen them all.
I've seen a scene where a kid's looking through a door and sees another world, and it scared me, and I want to see it.
I like serial killer movies and gruesome movies, and you should know that by now.
I do know that. Yeah.
I'm into that. I don't know why.
2 mules for Sister Sarah.
He's back.
B, how about you?
All back. Sorry.
I also didn't get to see a ton of movies this week, but I was really excited when I looked on Mubi, the app, and I saw they have all of the Pedro Almodovar movies up. They have a big retrospective on the app of him. And I think he's super interesting. There's a lot of themes that he chooses to explore that I don't love. But I love his characters, and I just think he's worked with such talented actors that there's a lot of juice. You can go watch anyone, watch A Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. You'll have a great time.
I was going to ask you, do you have any favorites that you've seen already that you?
Yeah, that one's probably my favorite. Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down was fun, but Woman on the Verge is top tier Pedro for me.
Did you see, was it last year, Parallel Mothers?
Yeah, that was also great.
Yeah.
That was really great.
I'm still wrestling with that one.
Nathan, I did watch Ghost in the Darkness again on HBO. I forgot to mention that.
Oh, that's the
actually
same.
True. Yeah.
That's the same. Yeah.
Same as Parallel Mothers?
Same. Yeah.
Double feature. Yeah. There's a lot of gaps in my Pedro Almodovar movies. I have seen Parallel Mothers, Pain and Gain. I'm looking at his filmography right now, but I think besides that, there ain't much. There's so much I have not seen. I saw Volver. but I think
I'm
it
not
works.
always sure that I love what he has to say,
Skin I
but I
Live In,
really
I
love
saw.
the way he says it. Yes, The
Mm.
Skin I Live In was great. But I like the way he says it.
Antonio in it.
And there's bonus points. There's a really great gazpacho recipe in Woman on the Verge. So,
All right.
Is movie a free application?
No.
Yeah, I think so.
Movie is not free.
It's not?
No, then
No.
I don't notice when they
I don't
charge
think
me because I
it's
like it.
it's like $10 a month or so. Yeah.
Mm.
But it's good deep library of foreign film, Criterion type
Independent,
movies,
art
independent
house.
films, things like that. If you want to do that. It's like Criterion level quality films.
I do love Criterion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about. I'm not a subscriber to Movie or Criterion, and I'm debating doing one of those two.
At
There's a
Criterion.
big gap.
I'll give you my password.
Don't say that on the air. They'll come after.
Edit that out.
Anyways, very good. All right. Anything else, B?
No, that's it.
All right. And the two things I'll just mention. It took me only about 14 months, but I finished my Billy Wilder retrospective marathon. I watched all 25 Billy Wilder movies. But
Got a favorite? Got a least favorite?
I do have a favorite. And you know what? I was going to direct the listeners to my Letterboxd top 25 where I ranked all of them, but I'll mention it here. My top 5, I'll go from 5 to 1. Number 5 was Stalag 17 was my number 5. Number 4 was Avanti, which I think I mentioned. No, I didn't mention it on the show. I think I mentioned it off the record. Number 3 was Some Like It Hot. Number 2 was Sunset Boulevard, and number 1 was Double Indemnity. Those are my top.
Not The Apartment? You didn't like The Apartment?
That was number 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's there. And because my least favorite, and I think a lot of people might agree with this, Kiss Me Stupid. I don't know what is that movie. Just kind of drove me up a wall. I don't know. But that's all 25 Billy Wilder films, and I'm going to drop a link in the show notes where you can see my whole list on Letterboxd of my ranked list. And while I'm talking about Letterboxd, anybody can check out our recommendations shelf. I created this about a week ago, where you can see all of the movies that we have recommended on our show since episode 1 of our on Letterboxd, so you can see all those films. That's an idea that B you mentioned a couple weeks ago, so we're thankful for that. So that's great.
I'm here to help.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I'll just mention, I did see one new movie this past week. I watched Hypnotic, the new film from Robert Rodriguez, starring Ben Affleck. It's I didn't really take many notes on this. This movie got buried in the box office. I think it made no money because there was no marketing behind it. Ben Affleck is looking for his missing daughter, and he's a cop. But really, the movie isn't about that. It's about people that are hypnotics, and they can basically suggest, thoughts to people that influence people's thinking. And the movie goes into some really interesting, odd territory. I'm not going to spoil much about this, but what I just want to say is that this movie, I think, got an unfair shake in the box office. It's not a bad movie. It's not a good movie either, but I feel kind of bad that it just completely got buried because the studio decided not to do any marketing for this at all. I think Robert Rodriguez is a decent filmmaker. I love his movies from the 90s, like From Dusk Till Dawn, Desperado, are two of my favorite movies of all time, probably. In The Faculty, I like a decent amount as well. But
I like The Faculty, yeah.
But this movie is really feels like it got hacked to shreds. There's ideas that are not fully fleshed out. The ending just kind of happens out of nowhere. It's okay. And it has ideas that remind me a lot of like Inception and The Matrix, but it is a very sloppy, hackneyed movie that I can't fully recommend. But still, if you're looking for like a mind-bending twister, you could do far worse. So, Hypnotic
A ringing endorsement.
It's okay, but hey, it's something I watched. Is what I'll say.
Why did you watch that?
Ringing endorsement is right.
Why did you watch that movie?
Because I love Robert Rodriguez and I watch everything he makes.
I see.
That's a good reason.
I like Robert Rodriguez myself.
Yeah. All right. And there you have our movie musings for this week. So, anything else? Or I think that's it. That's it.
Well,
we are in the 4 minutes shorter than The Rescuers Down Under.
All right. Excellent. All right. That is our show, everyone. We thank you for tuning in this week. And Back to the Frame Rate is part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. You can email us directly at backtotheframerate@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook and Instagram at Back to the Frame Rate. You can find past episodes of the show and other podcasts from the Weston Media Podcast Network on our website, and I'll drop the link in the show notes. You can find that there. Yeah. And of course, the best way of helping us out is to share our episodes on your social media feeds. So spread the word. All right. And I almost forgot to mention next week, I think I said this before, we'll be reviewing the 5th and final film in our Steven Spielberg retrospective. It will be, what is it, Sam?
Sorry, I was singing a song from the movie. That'll make sense after you watch it. Empire of the Sun.
Empire
it's a musical?
No. There's just the kid's in a choir, so he has a song where he's singing in a choir. But you'll see what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely not a musical.
Empire of the Sun
has a lot of similarities with Mr. Holland's Opus.
They're basically indistinguishable from each other. Yeah.
B, we wish you safe travels next week. You will not be joining us, but we'll see you in 2 weeks, where we'll be starting. I think another retrospective, another series of films. We'll talk about that next week. But that is it.
B, this is Mr. Holland wishing you a great time in Alaska. They just fired me from my position at the school. I'm 60 years old, Gene. What are you going to do? Write me a letter of recommendation to the morgue? Sorry.
Have fun, B. Sounds like such a great trip.
Thank
What
you.
a
I'll send
adventure.
All right.
I'll send pictures.
Gotta share pictures.
That is it. The show is over. Goodbye.
Back to the Frame Rate, part of the Western Media Podcast.
Bye.
I want you to know it's over.
Bye. Game over. Lucky Land Casino asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.